There
There
we
we are
go.
live.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? It's your man Jay Kev here with Leif Taylor, my co-host, my partner in talk. Just here having our conversation, our regular conversation around all things health, wealth, relationships, and happiness, and every other thing that you could think of in between. That leaves us plenty of rabbit trails to go along, Leif. So we start
So,
out with the main pillars of health, wealth, relationships, and happiness, and then we rabbit trail or just any which way that you all would like to take the conversation. So today we're just gonna briefly just talk about um, strong enough to endure and even thrive. Even during tough times. And then also we're going to talk about consistency, Leif. Just touch on that touch point too. But
yep.
one of the things that got us going in this direction was I had made a comment, Leif, about a memory that you had posted of us from 3 years ago. Uh, uh, 3 years ago of us having these transparent, open forum type conversations, just revolving around some of the pillars that I just named earlier. And just thinking about, Leif, how important it is to be consistent, and how being consistent is one of those things that helps you when it comes to endurance, and when it comes to even maintaining uh, the ability to be able to be resilient and thrive even during tough times.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, what's funny is before I got on this live stream, I was talking with a bunch of my fellas, and,
mhm,
and we were talking about that very same thing. How consistency is of benefit, like because we're all artists, and how consistency is a benefit even in the art field in terms of getting more work. How
yep,
people once they feel they can trust you because you've constantly been present or have been producing or have been doing whatever, then you tend to get more work based off of the trust value that you build over time.
yes, that's one of the benefits of being consistent, is that, like you said, you build up the trust factor, and you build up uh,
What's up,
the
Mo?
um, capability of being dependent. You build up that reputation of someone who is dependable, and someone who is able to withstand the struggles and the tough times and the hurdles and the ditches and everything else that comes along with just life. Life in it of itself is an obstacle course, and it's endurance is one of those things that has to be cultivated, and consistency is one of those things that can help you when it comes to being a person of endurance. Um, so yeah, just thinking about that, Leif, thinking about, like, what are some ways in which you can help build up endurance and build up consistency. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking about how I had, like, over the last 6 weeks, I had recently gotten back into personal training. I got a personal trainer, and I'm noticing that my endurance level is building up, as far as physically and also mentally too, and also emotionally. In the beginning,
You're not
I
crying no
mean,
more when you do the weights.
huh?
So
It,
you're not.
it's crazy. I could see how in the beginning I was like, just I was struggling a little bit. It's just, as far as the mindset, it's
Yeah, yeah.
like,
No, I got you.
you
I
have to
got you.
make yourself go in. You have to make yourself, like, do the work, and that's one of the things about having a trainer, is that a trainer or a coach in any
Right.
area of endeavor can help you when it comes to endurance. And I noticed that having this coach helps me hold me accountable, and
Yep.
he helps me push me through some of the plateaus and barriers that I may face. So, just looking at, physically, mentally, and emotionally, even spiritually, having a coach is something that is important when it comes to building up your endurance levels, and also helps you when it comes to consistency. So that's just one area, I guess, having a coach or having a mentor or having somebody to hold you accountable.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Mo said, small steps
What's up,
that are
Mo?
defined will build that endurance. And
Yeah.
then he said, so you can see an accomplishable goal. Yeah,
Maurice.
and even from it's funny you mentioned coaches, because I thought about that earlier. I was watching I watch tons of stuff as I'm working, where I actually listen to it rather than watch it.
Yeah.
Listen to the variety of things, and they were talking about coaches, and I was thinking it's been a while since I've had a coach, in terms of like I've always had a business mentor of some sort along my journey, just to give feedback, somebody that can help push you beyond what you don't know or what you can't see. And in going back to the consistency piece, they can help you become more consistency in building the habits that you don't yet have. Right.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's when consistency, having a coach especially helps, is because they can let you know where you're slipping, because sometimes when you accomplish something, you get rested in that accomplishment and you don't keep moving, right? It's like, oh, I can kick my feet back now. I've done this particular thing, and it's like, no, this is just step one. You got 1,000 more to go, and so having a coach can help you do that until it becomes embedded and ingrained in you as a habit. And a habit doesn't always mean that it's enjoyable. A habit just means that you do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the key, and like you said, building that mental endurance is probably the toughest part. Because once pain kicks in, once being
Yes.
uncomfortable kicks in, once being worried kicks in, once all of those little things that you were scared of before you started, once all of that stuff starts kicking in, then that's when the discipline, the coach, and just the mindset have to be prepared to keep going. So there's always that threshold period that you got to make it through, right? You got to make it through Hell Week before you can make it into the army. Yes, definitely, Kenny.
He
We're
says we
all
are all creatures of habit. That is true. We are all creatures of habit, and you're going to have some habits. So it's in our best interest to get that coach if you need one, in order to cultivate those habits that serve you best in whatever endeavor you're choosing to take on. What was I think? Yeah, I was talking to a friend earlier that I work for, and I was just asking him. He used to swim, and he had to take a break because of some health issues,
Okay.
and he got back into swimming. And I asked him, so have you gotten back into swimming? He's like, yeah. He said the way I think of it is that I will die if I do not swim. I was like, dang, man, that's Goggins level. He don't know who Goggins
will
is.
swim until he dies. That's the difference.
But it just brought me back to when another component when it comes to building endurance and staying consistent is we often talk about having that why, having that reason or that purpose that is bigger than you, that pulls you and maybe even pushes you. So just going back to me and my journey with the trainer is one of the things I have to think of is health, and just looking at especially thinking about the world that we live in now, and how not being in the best condition that you can possibly be in definitely is going weighing against you in a heavy way in today's world. I'm talking about, given the state of affairs with what's going on, and having those comorbidities. You want to minimize those as much as possible. So yeah, just having that why, for me, like I said, health, and health is wealth, and just that's one of the things that really pushes and pulls me. Who's that? Oh, hey, Adrian.
Peace TT Talks.
We're talking about you are strong enough to endure, and you can be consistent. And the how-to is that we touched on is having a coach or mentor, having that why. Another thing I was thinking about is having a relationship or having some friendships or some connections or some collaborations or some cooperations. You got to stop me, Leif. I'm gonna keep going. Having
how you can go.
having that cipher, of peers that'll help, push you in the direction that you want to go. And in saying that, I was thinking about, I was thinking about the memory that you put up, that we've been doing this for 3 years. And I was thinking about all the times that I didn't want to do it. And I was thinking about
which is plenty.
Yeah, it's plenty. And just thinking about, because, we have the connection and we've made a statement on, so that's one of the things that helps me endure and also stay consistent. And also thinking about, I know that if I go back, then it's almost like letting a teammate down.
Yep. Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, letting a teammate down, and also, the community down. And I say that in that from time to time I'll get a DM or I'll run into people out in public, and they'll say, I heard such and such, and some of the things that you all talk about, I'm glad you all talk about it. So so just realizing that there is a community and there's a tribe that we are connected to, and then feeling like you are obligated or have some responsibility, that's something that can help you endure those tough times and stay consistent.
Yep. Mo said, having a group, support group is highly undervalued and underutilized. Yeah, and you got to, because I noticed something like in my own, what I've done, like, because I was thinking about this earlier, like I have pockets of people that I interact with. Yeah. And I have different pockets of people for different things, right?
You got a whole buffet.
Yeah, no, seriously. And so when people like, you do all of these things, it's not because I don't feel as if I'm so driven to where I got to do all. It's really just the support groups that I put myself in and the people that I attach myself to.
Like, and you designed that with intention.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's like I don't want to let somebody else down, right? I want to make sure that I come through for the team, even if I don't feel like coming through for myself. And family does that for me as well.
Yeah.
My wife and my children. I make sure I don't drop the ball, in terms of giving up. I'm not talking about, there's all kinds of factors in the world that factor into what you may deem successful or not. But in terms of me enduring and not giving up, it's really involved in the people that I associate myself with, so that I make sure that if anything, I'm going to come through for them. I'm going to keep my word in doing the things that I said. And so that's part of how I help keep myself accountable is I put it out there so people can hold me to my own word, right? Thanks, Kenny. He said it's called character, but it helps sustain character because again, because you realize you're not no man is an island unto himself. Right? And so you realize regardless of how you feel about people around you, whether you think you're a hermit or not, the world still is revolved around people and communities, period. And so once you start understanding that and you realize it's the support groups that you start baking in that help you stay consistent, right? When I think about, me being able to sit in front of my computer and work on things, I couldn't do that without the support of my wife that takes care of the children. She sets up the household. She puts things in place that I would never do because I'm so focused and hyper focused on certain things that I can't do those things. And so I lean on people that do a variety of different things. You pay for services, right? You pay for services so that you can stay, that you can keep your main thing the main thing sometimes. And so when I think about that, going back to what Mo was talking about, support groups are invaluable, right? When you get the right ones. And sometimes, your support group may be for a season only, right? they're the support group for now, but they're not the support group for later on. And that's okay, because everybody, evolves in a variety of ways, because growth is not always a linear thing. Growth
Yeah.
can be, it's like, oh, well, I have more responsibilities because I have this to deal with now. So this particular people, I can't be in this group anymore. I have to shift to this group because of my new responsibilities, right?
So you're telling me I can't like it would be against my best interest to hold a grudge or get mad at a group or an individual or somebody that kind
Yeah,
of
because think about it, it's not like because some I've seen where people get mad at people for just moving on. Like
yeah,
there's no fallout, there's no argument. It's part of life, man. Like I have family members that I love to death that we just don't hang out anymore because that group is not
yeah,
necessary at this particular time in life, right? And it's not to say that they're not necessary people. It's just that the responsibilities I have don't lend toward that, right?
okay,
Because your time is limited, right? And so that's why you want to try to cherish the time that you have with people as much as you possibly can, because you don't even know when that's the last time you'll be around them anyway, right?
facts, yeah,
And so you have to, and me, I have to remind myself of this stuff, right? Enjoy the moment, because moments are fleeting, moments don't last always. And it was a meme that my wife and I were talking about not too long ago, earlier this week. It's like, do you remember the last time you hung out with your friends? It's funny, my dude Kenny's on here. I hadn't seen that dude since we were in elementary school. It's like,
wow,
you didn't know that the last time you went out to play with your friends was the last time you went out to play with your friends, right?
man, yeah,
And then I think about it with the kids as your children grow and all of this kind of stuff. It's like, man, you giving them a hug could be the last hug you ever give them, right? And so you want to make just the moments count, be thankful for the present. And then, that's the best you can do sometimes, right? Just be thankful
man,
for the present. And not
that's one of the
go ahead.
things that can help you endure. That's one of the how tos, gratitude and
Yeah,
being thankful. Uh, even especially during those tough times, those hard times, just finding a way to like find one thing that you're thankful or grateful for. So, man, yeah, I was thinking about that earlier, and that I was listening to a few, YouTubes and stuff about the science of gratitude
yep,
and how it's kind of cliche now, but it's supposed to be the highest frequency that somebody can uh, obtain, and it's one of the simplest, easiest, fastest way to bring yourself into a state of flow and love, I guess you could say.
gotcha.
And yeah, it's just this was it sets your body up. There's actually physiological responses to the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions of being thankful and gratitude,
Yep.
and it sets a cascade of physiological responses in motion that helps you. Like one of the things is keep your immunity up. I was listening to it.
That's huge.
Yeah, and it was. I think the talk was in relationship to what's going on now and why it's important to not get caught up in fear
Yep.
and recognize that danger is present, but not allowing the fear to take you over, and that fear causes your immunity to go down. And one of the
That's great.
simplest ways to bring the shields back up, so to speak, the force back up, is to find a way to get in a state of gratitude about things. Um, and another way is turn the news off, and
Yeah, true.
stay out of the social media scrolling if that's something that you notice that triggers you and gets you caught up, with fear and with what's going on as far as anxiety and worry
Yeah.
and all the other negative emotions that can help bring you down.
Yeah, what was funny is I had a conversation. Me and my wife were talking about something, and I was like, I don't know, it was something. I was like, you know what? like, let me just get back to work because work makes me happy. So I don't even want to think about that no more. Let me get back to work because I notice when I'm focused on work, then I'm happy. I'm super happy. The world is good. When I
The
start
world's on
focusing,
fire. The life
yeah,
is.
when I start focusing on everybody's arguing and the silly points that get argued, I'm like, okay, I don't need to be thinking about this. I need to be focused on the things that make me happy. And also just going back to what you're talking about in terms of gratitude, one of the things that lightens my mood every single day is giving my family a hug, right? When my kids get up, they come in here, they give me a hug, and that changes my mood as well, right?
It's
Because it's like,
science.
okay, yeah, exactly. It's like, how can you be angry and love somebody at the same time?
Man,
You know, yeah, two states can't exist in the same plane. So it's like you got to be one or the other. And so those little bitty boosts that I have throughout my day help me endure from a standpoint of gratitude, because it's
yeah,
like, okay, I can appreciate my family, I can appreciate, just our current state, and when you're in that mood, you find yourself arguing less, you find yourself being frustrated with less. And so, always try to maintain those things in your environment, because we always talk about environment, right? You want to make sure that your
mm-hmm.
environment is clean of clutter. And clutter can be a variety of things. It could be the news, it could be physical clutter, it could be mental clutter, it could be the chaos of the people that you allow in your life and in your home. It could be a variety of things. So you want to make sure that you look at it, stand back and look at how your environment affects your mood. Look at how your environment affects your flow, and also just really be mindful of everything that's going on around you. Take the time to pause and view things for what they are. And it's like, okay, how can I improve this situation right now if nothing else changes? How can I improve with what I have, regardless of what comes in from this point forward? What can I do to make my environment and my surroundings better?
Man, that's the next how to as far as endurance. Maurice says people need to control their emotional diets. Facts, man. That's yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that often gets looked over is the emotions and the feelings that you're going through, and then also that others are feeding into you, and
Yes.
that you don't really think about. And one of the things I'm thinking about as I'm saying this is I can remember um, when I worked with a certain group of people how they this particular group of people stayed in a state of anxiety, stayed in a state of complaining, stayed in a constant state of just fighting. And
Yeah.
wow, man, and they would just look at me and be like, man, how are you just so zenful and just peaceful? I was like, you just takes practice, man.
Yeah. So I'm not getting involved in none of that foolishness.
Exactly. Thank you. It's like, it ain't nothing to do with me. That's not my circus, man. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
yeah, those aren't my monkeys. I don't deal with those.
Hey,
But
I ain't got to sweat that one.
I got that from we quoted that a while back.
Yeah.
So,
I forgot. Could you used to say, how did you used to say, that's not my battle, or that's not, you used to say that all the time at one point. I can't even remember. One thing that Mo, he put, need to start fasting and understanding what, powers your emotions and things like that. One of the things, going back to habits and being consistent and things like that, I was thinking about, like, I was like, man, I was like, okay, I need to trim down some. I'm getting sedentary weight just stacking on my stomach just from sitting here all the time. And I was like, okay, when was I at my most peak conditioning, right? Over the past 2 years, not talking about when I was young and used to lift weights
yeah.
and do all of that stuff. I was like, over the past 2 years, when was I at my peak conditioning? And I was like, oh, you know what? I was doing the savers, the morning routine every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gotten out of it because I did it for almost a year straight. And I was like, I'm just done. I'm gonna just stop doing it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start picking that habit up, because there was something within the routine of that adjusted my mentality, that it adjusted my habits, to where even though I was doing the exact same thing I'm doing now, there was slight tweaks in my day, I was probably 15 pounds lighter because of the way that I was just focused in. And so I was like, okay, I'll start doing my intermittent fasting on a daily basis. I'll start making sure I exercise consistently every day. And so I started reincorporating those things that I knew worked for me specifically back into my routine to where it became routine and I didn't have to force myself to do it. I just woke up and did it. So that's one thing that I'm currently doing right now to basically get myself going, to stay consistent with the things that I got inconsistent with.
Yep. Yeah. Well, one of the things I want to go back to was the how to of designing and cultivating your environment
Yes.
with purpose, and how important it is. Like you were touching on how, if you cultivate and design your environment with purpose, you can endure just about anything. And when you were talking, you were making me think about how if you have a significant other and you have that family environment that is
Yeah.
peaceful, it's an oasis. I think I heard Kevin Samuels talk about in one of his videos, talking about coming home to your peace. we ain't gonna go down that rabbit trail. But just how important it is that if you have a home life that is really that's cultivated for peace, and it's an oasis where you can kind of come and heal, get healthy, that really goes a long way when it comes to the endurance of the crazy and chaotic world that is always going on,
Yeah.
outside your
Always.
doors. Always. It never stops. So when one storm passes, another one's going to come. But as long as you have a peaceful environment to where you can come, if you got that corner that you can come and get healed up, and you can get pushed on back out there in the middle of the ring and get back in the fight. Versus if your corner is crazy and chaotic, you ain't gonna make it.
There has to be some form of reprieve in your environment to where you can, like you said, just back away and find a peaceful moment, a peaceful place. And habits can do that for you, right? When you start developing habits in a certain way, it's almost like you condition yourself. You make yourself become Pavlov's dog, right? You condition yourself to, like, okay, if I go sit in this chair over here, then when I sit there, I only do these things, and these things bring me joy, happiness, or whatever. So every time you sit in a specific seat, boom, it automatically changes your attitude. Kenny talked about smiling. He's like, just smile and be happy, because after a while it gets contagious. Just little things that you can do to change your emotional state. It's hard to be upset when you're grinning and smiling all the time. So make sure that you incorporate laughter in your day. Make sure that you incorporate little things that reprieve you from the potential chaos that you may be living in, right?
Yep.
And I can say, for our household, like, our chaos levels are super low. They're very low. And it's funny, the things that we get upset over are nothing to everybody else, because our chaos levels are so low that little things become big. And so you just got to make sure that you set your environment up to a point where everybody in your household, especially for those in New York, I always go back to the people in New York. They got small living spaces because the population is so large. Figure out ways that you can do that even in a tiny environment. Maybe somebody gets into one good spot, you rotate that ever so often, whatever, right? Just find something, find a way to have joy in your environment. And you will be surprised how much joy, small amounts of joy throughout the day can help you endure a whole lot of things.
Man, yes, small amounts of joys add up over time.
So,
small, like popping these little these little fidgets. I'm a fidgety guy, man.
Kevin sits there for hours just popping stuff.
Just popping the bubbles, man. It's heaven. Choose happiness. Choose happiness. Love being happy. Yeah, it's happiness is the choice, and you got to make the decision that no matter what, that you're going to find a way to stay happy. And if when you do have those moments where you ain't happy, find a way to bounce back, to be resilient, to come back to that as quickly as possible. We all know that life's going to get
just to say, like, all emotions are valid. It's how you
you. Yeah,
deal with those emotions when they arise.
yeah,
So always keep that in mind. You know, it's not to say that, because I'm not always I have, like, when I'm in focus mode, I'm in focus mode. I don't want
yeah,
to be happy. I don't want to laugh. I
yeah.
just want to be in focus
Let's get
mode.
business
And
done.
so yeah, exactly, because I know that it helps me power through things so I can eventually get to that happiness and all of that kind of stuff. So you know, definitely, like you said, it's a choice. You choose it, but again, it's not to say that you neglect your other emotional states as
Right.
well. But you gotta control it though. You gotta figure out how to deal with them when they come.
Yeah.
You know, I've been watching a lot of preschool shows lately, so they always have countdown to 4 because I make them. So so you know, you got countdown to 4. So they have a lot of little, you know, mnemonics and things like that in those shows. But you know, when you think about it, I was like, you know, it's very some of the things that they do for little kids are even valid for adults as well.
It's all applicable. You know, everything you learn, they say everything you learn in first grade and kindergarten and stuff is still applicable and valid to the day you die. You know, caring is caring. You know, take
So if
that.
you see Kevin skipping, then you know why.
Nah, that's gonna go. That dude's weird.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. So what else?
um, another thing, you know, another how-to when it comes to endurance. Well, before I go there, I just want to say that, you know, I titled the show "Strong Enough to Endure." You're strong enough to endure. It's just to kind of put that idea and thought out there. You know, that you are strong enough. You're built for this. If you're alive and you're living, you're built for life and whatever life throws at you, no matter how tough things get. And when I say how tough, you know, when I'm talking about tough times, you know, I keep my eye on a lot of things as far as current events and history with, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like that at this juncture in in our culture, in our society, that we are slated for some tough. We've already gone through some tough times, and we're slated for tougher times. And in thinking about that, and in believing that, in the you know, thinking about that in that context, is that just to remember that if you're alive, you're built to live. You know, you're built for life, and you just have to have that mindset, have that resolve that no matter what, just remember that you are strong enough to endure. Not only endure, like you said, you can thrive.
Yes.
And at every juncture throughout, you know, the existence of this world, there's always been the tale of two cities. There's been people who have gotten it rough, and then there's been people who have found a way to thrive through no matter what's going on. So yeah, but the one of the last things I want to touch on when it comes to the how-to of endurance is knowing your reason for being, knowing, you know, what your ultimate, knowing who you are and what your ultimate uh, gift to the world is. So that's one of the things that can really help you endure when it comes to tough times and to keep going no matter what.
Agreed. And just to touch on those 2 points, one, in terms of there's always the tale of two cities, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you have a choice in what your city looks like, right?
Yes, not all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, and so you want to make sure that you cultivate your city. And when I say city, of course, I'm speaking metaphorically.
Yeah.
You cultivate your city to be the best it can be, because sometimes, you know, things are bad not because of outside controls, but because you haven't done what you're supposed to do,
Yes.
right? So make sure that you're not your own worst enemy in that case. And again, if you're alive and you have opportunity, then you can even correct that, right? And so just make sure that you always strive to do the best that you can with what you have, with who you have around you, and go forward from there. And also, again, just seek out opportunities where there weren't any before. And what I mean by that is because there's always points in any generation where things shift in terms
Yeah.
of the money crops or the the money jobs, the industries or whatever. There's always going to be a point in every generation where that shifts to something else. And so you want to make sure that you're flexible enough to shift with the shifting times, right? And it'll be rough at first because we talked about habit forming and building the habit and getting the coaches and all of those kinds of things. But if doing the preparation when those shifts happen is necessary, then do what you can to make that happen, right? Because sometimes the reason you want coaches is because they may have insights and information that you don't have. They may have fortitude insights that you currently don't have. And also sometimes you have to make an investment into something that'll give you a bigger investment later, right? And so you got to remember that and always be willing to grow in a variety of ways. He said life is a, okay, he's a circadian lifestyle, sinusoidal function. If you don't know, look it up. I'll look it up because I don't know, but and I'll say also he put circadian life cycle.
Yes.
And he said you got to understand how you work and function for sure. And that's one thing that I've been focused on myself is understanding me, understanding the way that I thrive, understanding the things that that work for me. However, I'm also willing to change the things that don't work, right? And this goes back into the habits. This goes back into the things that we have to start implementing. And again, just to emphasize the coach side of things, because I've taken class before, so you always had instructors in a variety of ways, whether it's partners, spouses, even your children can be coaches in a sense because they can definitely point out your flaws.
If you let them, yeah,
exactly. So they can definitely point out your flaws, but again, the goal is to be I don't want to sound crazy, but be the most optimal human being you can be, right? And I mean that, yeah, and just from being a pleasant person to be around, just that alone is valuable, right? Because I know my wife and I we talk about this quite a bit in our household. Like we literally get free stuff all the time, like all the time, and it's because we make it a point to treat people with equity. We make it a point to treat people in a certain way. We treat them with respect, and it doesn't.
You're getting back what you put out.
Yeah, that's it. We always talk about being value add, right? On our show, we always talk about adding value to people. Make sure that any interaction that you have, you can't do it all the time, but in any interaction you have, you want to try to at least add some form of value, right? And if you can add value, it comes back to you in a variety of ways. It's not necessarily the person you add value to that brings value back to you, right? But it's just something good to practice. It's something good that, to be a habit, to get in the habit of. We teach our children that, always, treat people with respect, and you'll get respect in return, and it'll come in a variety of ways. So I guess it was you, but you always want to just make sure that you add value to people. And if you don't have that within you, work on it. Like seriously, work on that. I used to not add value to people at all. Like I didn't. And so you got to work on that and cultivate that to become a part of your life and to become a part of your outlook. So again, you just become an asset no matter where you are, and that'll help you endure difficult times because people will be looking out for you that you didn't expect to look out for you.
Man, yeah, that's facts. Maurice Parks, optimization is not robotic. Efficiency in its highest form of productivity in life.
Yeah, you got to optimize your stuff. You got to.
We always acknowledge people and see them. Everyone wants to be seen, man. Yeah, that reminds me of Dale Carnegie or Carnegie.
Yeah.
Said everybody loves to hear the sound of their own name.
Yep.
Remembering people's names is very important, essential when it comes to being successful. Kenny says, be the best you, not only to everyone else, but especially be the best person for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you're always with you. You know,
Man, yeah.
because I
Like,
made a
man,
post.
leave me alone. Leave me.
Yeah, I made a post. I guess earlier this week or last week. I don't know. I'd make random posts because I just think cryptically all the time. But you know, it's like sometimes your biggest hater is you,
Yeah, yeah.
and you got to be aware of self sabotage because it comes in all kinds of forms. So you want to, like you said, make sure that you're the best person for you. So because again, when you become the best person for you, you essentially end up being the best person for everybody around you as well.
Yeah.
And again, it's value add. So you always want to be an asset, but especially for yourself. I remember I wrote out a list of things when I was way younger, probably 20 years ago. I wrote out a list of things that I wanted to do and wanted to be. And I was like, at the top of the list was me being the best person I could be. Because all of those other things I wanted to accomplish, those relationship goals and all of that, were impossible if I wasn't trying to be a better me, right? And so you want to be aware of that. You want to be self-aware as much as you possibly can. And again, if you're bad at being self-aware, there's always somebody to tell you.
There's plenty of people to help you out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just dying and waiting for you to ask them
I was
about
waiting for
how
you
you
to
are.
ask me what's wrong with you, bro.
Exactly. Matter of fact, I got a list.
You drop it.
Exactly.
You got paragraphs on there? Dang.
Exactly. I got spreadsheets.
Databases.
Exactly.
He put it on the blockchain. He put it on the blockchain so it won't be. You can't change it. No, it's on the blockchain, bro.
It's time stamped.
It's facts.
An investment in yourself is an investment in the world. You are the world, and the world is you, for sure, for sure. Yeah, because again, it's just those little things, right? I always want to just be the most optimal person you can be the best person you can be. Everything that we talk about on our show is to try to help everybody that listens, to help us. This is a conversation of me and Kev that we just open up to the world. So every time we get on live, this is me and Kev catching up on the week. It's talking about things that that interest us, that because we literally used to have these same conversations in person, and so it was like, hey, let's just have this online and see if people resonate. So
yeah, it was it was just a trend. It was a trend that we noticed that was going on, like a couple of years ago, and it was one of the primary. It's the primary way that I've learned my whole life. I've listened to a lot of conversation over my whole life, and that's how I've kind of learned. That's how I learn, is listening to conversations and listening to people. So it's helped me avoid a lot of headaches. I have hit a lot of headaches. I've hit a lot of hurdles, but looking at other people, I know that I missed some real brick walls, boy. So, and I'm thankful and grateful for the conversations of those who have come before me and have learned those hard lessons for me, that I've kind of gleaned from, and I'm just doing my part. We're doing our part to pay it forward, and also, and build and enjoy a community, a tribe of people who think like us, because people like us like conversations like these. So we definitely appreciate you. I'm sorry, I just found you guys. That's okay. We've been here 3 years. We ain't going nowhere.
We're here now. We appreciate you. I'm glad you reached out again. Yeah, I just want to give Kenny a quick shout out. He reached out to me, and I didn't know who he was. And then he was like, "You remember me?" And I was like, and then I saw a picture of him, and it literally was like, I don't know if you've ever seen Ratatouille. It was like when Anton Ego, when he took the first taste of the Ratatouille, took it back to his childhood. So when I saw like a picture of Kenny's, like all of these memories came flooding back. I was like, so I'm glad you reached out, bro. I'm glad you're here now.
Yep.
Oh yeah, definitely. We appreciate you, Mo, man. We appreciate everybody that's come through over the years, over the time, that's participated, just giving some feedback and some of their own personal insight. We don't have all the answers. We have very few answers, but we can at least have a conversation about it. We're definitely open to, just to hearing other people's perspectives on life. Our goal, and we made it a goal at the very beginning, is like there's so much confusion, there's so much, you know, animosity in the world and all of that. Our goal is to try to spread some form of sunshine
Yep.
as much as we possibly can. We try not to, you know, bring a negative energy or vibe to it. You know, we talk about real subjects, we talk about real life things. We don't always agree, but we always do agree to treat each other with respect, and you know, treat our viewers with respect. So that's our personal goal. You know, of course, you know, maybe we fall short. I don't know, but that's our goal, and that's what we strive for each episode.
Yeah. Our girl was, you know, along with that was to provide a space of, you know, positivity and a space of relief
Yep.
that you can come in from the interwebs and just take a break and laugh, you know, act silly, and you know, get a few belly laughs in before you go back out into the real world. Um, we're the corner men for your life. We heal you, we patch you up. You're doing good. You look good, kid. Next time, don't take it straight to the nose. You know, then you get back out there in the real interwebs where it's rough out there, rough and tumble on those scrollings. I scroll to my timeline, boy, I get whooped.
Yeah, so you're stuck in the tide, and you're supposed to be bobbing and weaving.
Snippy this snip. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
I'll send it to you. But that's all we got. Two Shy Guys in the Mic talk. Today we just had a conversation revolving around you're strong enough to endure, not only just to endure and be resilient, but also thrive through tough times or through just about anything that's going on in your life. If you're alive, you are built to live and thrive. So that's all we got. Hopefully, you know, the time and attention that you spent and paid to us, you get some kind of return on investment. And we definitely appreciate you. Hit like and share and leave a comment. So that's all we got.
Yeah, Peace. We definitely appreciate you. Until next time. Later.